Hi, friends.
I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch.
And we are an excellent little podcast.
Presenting you a little movie podcast starring Zach and Mitch.
Wait, we're doing a podcast?
We are, and it's not 13 years in the making, Zach.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This one has been cooking for quite a bit of time, way back in 2009. Jesus. Okay.
We're talking about Avatar Way of Water.
Yep. This is, like you said, this has been 13 years in the making, directed by James Cameron, brought to us from 20th Century Studios because it's had a name change because Disney bought this within the time that he's been making it. Speaking of which, we are Disney cast members, so because it's 20th Century Studios, we do not speak for the brand of the company, and our thoughts are our own.
Yeah. Zach also mentioned this is directed by James Cameron. The screenplay is also by James Cameron, Rick Jaffa, and Amanda Silver. Zach, what'd you think of the directing and screenwriting styles?
So this is definitely a passion project. You can. This is all the hallmarks of a James Cameron movie. You've got this one specifically more so, I feel like, because the Way of Water. So James Cameron is definitely a huge conservationist, and he's really big on like ocean and water conservation, specifically like all the stuff that kind of happens like underneath the water, like taking care of like animals, habitats and whatnot inside of our oceans. So this is a very big passion project for him. I think you can read it in all of it, and never doubt James Cameron, man. Like I really was kind of worried about this, but after coming out of it, I should not have been, because it was a very big, wonderful spectacle that Avatar has kind of always had to it. So yeah, what did you think of this?
Yeah, so I was very torn on his directing style because I know he's like really big into like trying to dig deep into the 3D aspects, which I think is kind of one of the most overrated aspects of films nowadays. But I also shouldn't have doubted James Cameron because dude can do everything.
Yeah.
Brief summary: Jake Sully lives with his newfound family, formed on the extrasolar moon Pandora. Once a familiar threat returns to finish what was previously started, Jake must work with Natiri and the army of the Na'vi race to protect their home. Thank you, IMDb.
Yeah. All right. So, Mitch, since for our friends that are kind of new to our kind of style of reviewing,
would you like me to split it up?
Yeah, could you go ahead and split this thing up?
I sure can. So you just heard our introduction. Hi. We are just about to start our non-spoiler section. Zach will give his thoughts. I will give mine. We'll talk about cast performances and other non-spoilerly things. Then we will enter our review section. Zach, my friend. Oh, no, it will be me. Excuse me. How dare I? I will discuss how we split up the review. Then we will sound an alarm and we will enter our spoiler section. Then we will go on our separate ways.
Yeah.
Okay, Zach, your first thoughts?
Yeah. So, honestly, coming into the first Avatar, I think that movie needed to cook a little more in terms of things. So I was kind of trepidatious on coming into this movie. It's an upgrade, actually. Upgrade in terms of tech, upgrade in terms of story. There are things that there could have been kind of cut for like timing purposes, but overall I think that this is actually a film that actually benefited from having a sequel. And they did a phenomenal job of adding to the world, of adding to the story, and I can totally see where James Cameron is going if he does continue this I'm gonna make 5 films kind of a thing, you know?
Yeah. I also would say the first Avatar needed to cook a little more, and I do think this film is much better than the first one. I don't think it's worthy of getting a 4, 5, and 6. I do think it's worthy of a trilogy.
Sure.
However, I still see the flaws. I do see where James Cameron's going. I don't think this is going to break my top 10 at the end of the year, but
okay,
it was still a very enjoyable and very wonderful ride.
Sure.
Yeah. Cast performances time.
Yeah. So, because the trailers didn't really go into very much detail of the cast itself, we're kind of gonna stick just to 2 people on this one. So
Sam Worthington as Jake Sully. The guy took an acting class.
He did. He actually upgraded a little bit.
Oh, and by the way, this was my number 10 on my top 10 list,
yeah.
by the way. And I think it delivered. But I also, if you don't remember, I talked Sam Worthington in that episode.
We
both
completely
did.
tore him to shreds.
But he actually was much better in this film.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised about this. I'm not going to say he was the highlight of the film, but he definitely didn't bring it down.
No.
Which to me, I thought from the original Avatar, I think he kind of did.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, what did you Oh, yeah, you did just say what you thought of Sam Worthington.
But we can talk about Zoe Saldana.
Yes. Okay, so Zoe Saldana, what did you think of her?
I loved her. I really liked her in this one. She brought something that I can't speak of right now because we're in the non-spoiler section that we didn't see at all in the first one. We didn't see any of it until later.
Yeah.
But she brought something to the table, and it sets up something big.
Yeah.
For 3, 4, and 5.
Oh, 100%.
Yes. What'd you think?
I thought Zoe Saldana did an amazing job with Neytiri as she did before. I feel like her character kind of took a bit of a back burner section on this one, because of what James is trying to do, especially world building and moving on for the sequels. So it's going to be interesting kind of see where she kind of goes for the rest of the franchise. But yeah, her performance was wonderful. And I think if you want to make $1 billion movie, just cast Zoe Saldana.
Literally.
Because I feel like that's one thing that's going to happen with this movie. I feel like this movie is easily going to make at least $1 billion out of intrigue alone.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so that's the end of our cast section. Everything else is a spoiler, so we can't really talk about much. But the cast did well.
Yeah.
All right, so the first non-spoilerly thing other than the cast is this film worth the 13-hour hype?
Oh my God, no.
13-year gap, and was it worth the 3.5-hour runtime? Near 3.5-hour runtime.
Oh God, 13 hours. Oh, that would be
It
intense.
near felt like it. Okay, so can I take this one, Zach?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and take this.
It wasn't worth the hype in the 13 years. It still was a good movie in my opinion, but the fact that it took 13 years for this film to be made, which it made sense why it took that long.
Okay.
But I just felt that I think it's going to hurt its box office, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And as well as the 3-hour runtime, because you're going to have a little bit less show times with this film.
Yep.
It didn't bother me that much because I like 3-hour movies. I told you this. But I think it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt.
It will. It definitely will hurt its box office because, like you said, if this movie were to be released like 2 or 3 years, like if this movie was released in like 2013, it probably would have performed better.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it's because James Cameron wanted to have his full vision. I don't think he was planning as many sequels as it was from the first one.
No.
And I feel like you can tell that from when we get into the spoiler section why. But I think especially when it comes to it having the 13-year gap, I think he was just trying to craft the longer story as a whole and then kind of put in production. And as well as he's also stated that he was also waiting for the technology to also catch up with what he wanted to do, because I do know when you kind of, it says like the way of waters, and you kind of see in the trailers there's a lot of underwater things that kind of happen in this movie. That's the tech that he has supposedly been waiting on, is to have that upgraded.
Well, and what about the 3-hour runtime?
And that 3-hour runtime, it just kind of comes down to yes, everything kind of made sense of why it was in the film, but everything wasn't entirely needed. You know?
Yeah, he and I discussed that.
It could have been.
We got out of this film at near 4:00 in the morning, y'all.
Like, the thing is that it could have been shaved down. There are things that, like, I understand why James Cameron put into the movie, but I don't think it needed to be in the movie itself. We might hit upon it when we get into our spoiler section, but it definitely, while there are things that I understand why it could have been totally shaved down.
Yeah. What's next? What we got
the next
here?
one we got is the cinematography and the spectacle. I feel like whenever you come to an Avatar movie, now
Or
that there's
James
two of
Cameron
them,
film
or
in
James
general.
Cameron film, you're obviously going to have wonderful cinematography and spectacle. And I feel like there's no difference here. That's what you came for, and that's what you're gonna get, and you did. The world itself is amazing. Being able to be in the water and adding a whole new dynamic of that was really, really well done. The 3D in this movie is spectacular. However, there's another movie that underwater movie that I'm looking forward to more after seeing the trailer in 3D, but that's for another time. But Mitch, what did you think of the cinematography and the spectacle?
Yeah,
of this movie?
you hit the nail right on the head. I agree with you 100%. I feel like this film, when it comes to underwater sequences, was a lot better than Black Panther. But I feel like the reason why is because of its 13-year gap. James Cameron really knows that visual effects is the heart and soul of his Avatar films.
Yeah.
So he made sure that Disney and 20th Century Studios put a lot of money into that visual effects stuff.
Yep.
And I heard through the grapevines that he is making his artists make a 9-hour long Avatar 3. Yeah, so I mean, it's not gonna come out.
Oh, obviously, it's not going to be a 9-hour cut.
Yeah,
but
he wants that amount of footage for like later on films.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree with you. But the last thing we have is a conservation message of this film.
Yep. So yeah, do you want to kind of go into it a little bit, or do you want me to take
fire away? Zach.
Okay, great. So with the conservation, James Cameron is a huge proponent of that. Whether it's always based around nature for him. He thinks that we need to conserve our natural Earth more, which I completely agree on that. Humans have completely destroyed this planet.
Literally.
So with Avatar, it was primarily focused on forest life, tree life, and now this time we're talking about ocean conservation. It was definitely a bit on the nose. However, it's nice to kind of see it in Hollywood of like saying like, hey,
Take care of your Earth.
we need to try to take care of like everything. Like, yes, we've only like explored probably like about 10% of our oceans over the grand scheme of humanity, but even that 10% we're like absolutely starting to destroy, and it's having ramifications on the rest of our planet, and we need to start taking care of it. So
Yeah.
I do like that he's been calling to action on that.
Oh yeah, and you see it pretty early on once you start seeing the underwater sequences, just how beautiful the ocean is in the world of Pandora. And really, we just came off a cruise. The ocean is a very beautiful place.
Oh, yeah.
Like the water is blue, literally. The water is just, it was clean. I did see when we left Miami though, the
There's
ocean,
a bit of trash, yeah.
And we were coming back, we were going to Castaway Cay, and we got to take care of y'all. So
Yeah.
do your part, recycle, do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want me to go ahead and split up how we do our reviews, and then you go first for a review, my friend?
Sure.
Absolutely. All right. So how we split up our reviews, my friends, is that we split it into a couple of different categories. We have Eat It Up, which is we really very much enjoyed it. We we think that you should see it, especially for Avatar. You should definitely, if you want to see this, I would definitely say in a theater, see it in your best screen to get the best interpretation of what James Cameron is going for. Then we move on to Cook a Little More, which is it maybe needs a little bit more seasoning. We thought it was okay, so maybe a director change, a script change, an actor change could have helped this movie.
Put it back in the oven.
Yep. And then we have Feed It to the Dog, which is Jazz. Hey, buddy. Which is, we did not enjoy it, but we think you should still form your own opinion on the subject matter.
All right.
So, Mitch, this was your number 10. So, what do you give a rating for Avatar: Way of the Water?
So it won't make my top 10 at the end of the year, but I still consider this an Eat It Up for me. A very low one, though.
Okay.
It was this close to getting Needs to Cook a Little More. This close. But the underwater sequences And dare I say something that we didn't catch up on? I like the action in this film a lot more in this film than I did the last film. But I feel like that was James Cameron just being like, we need more explosions, some more Michael Bay crap. I picked up on it really early. I'm just like, oh, wow. There's more explosions in this one than the entire film, in this like 10 minutes, than the entire film of the last one. So, yeah, I got to say I ate this up. What'd you think?
Yeah, I think I ate this one up too. This is definitely a step up from the original Avatar. I do see this continuing on, which I think would be fun. Which is a step up from what I originally thought of Avatar, because I was like, all right, we only really needed one.
Because we were bashing on it during our top 10 way back in January. I'm not going to lie, like I was shocked that I put Avatar in my top 10, but all the other films that I had were getting delayed. So,
well, half of my top 10 is in 2023.
I know.
But it's okay. But again, I thought it's really, really great. I think you really should see this in either Dolby or IMAX in 3D. Like, see this on as premium of a screen as you can, because it's literally what it was filmed for.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, that wraps up our review, my friends, in terms of non-spoilery things.
So before we sound the alarm, don't forget to drop us a like, subscribe, leave a comment, or if you want to get personal with us, send us an email at elpodcastmz@gmail.com. But it's time, my friends. Sound the alarm.
I don't know. I am just kind of coming out with something on this one, but I was kind of going with their war cry a little bit there. So
you did not warn me that you were going to do this, because I would have done it too. You bastard.
It's all right. But
just when I thought you couldn't get any dumber, you pull something like this. And totally redeem yourself.
But we are officially in our spoiler section, my friends. So welcome, everybody.
The Colonel returns.
He is back. Now, if you've been following Avatar for the 13-year thing,
he died.
He died, but James Cameron has been vocal that they were both him and Sigourney Weaver were going to make a return in the following sequel.
They both come back in this one.
They both do come back, but in very different ways.
Yeah, so the Colonel, played by Stephen Lang, is that his name? He comes back, even though he died. He comes back as an avatar. And that has been growing
for a while,
for 13 years.
Yeah, it's it was a contingency plan
in case he died.
Just in case he died, they decided to send some money to grow an avatar of him
on Earth
and basically copy his memories and give this avatar his memories, but it's not the general still, because it's an avatar with his memories but not him,
and he
died.
And we found out he has a son too.
Correct. Evidently he has a son named Spider, who I thought was actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
Not the best, but not the worst.
Yeah.
However, the actor himself did actually do a decent, a pretty good performance. But the character, I thought, could have needed a little bit of work. But it was kind of nice to see
some nice father-son moments.
Some nice father-son moments between those two. But it was also kind of nice to see Stephen Lang, especially after coming it's a nice kind of draw back to the original and while yes, it's very sci-fi of them to be oh no, it's come back through really weird means. They just kind of got it out of the way really quickly, which I appreciated.
They did not waste any time with that.
I really appreciated that. So yeah, I thought it was kind of an interesting yet basic yet nice return to form.
But Sigourney Weaver comes back.
The Immaculate Conception of Sigourney Weaver, you mean?
She comes back as her character's daughter, but we don't know who her father is.
I'm going to say it right now. I don't think there's a father.
I don't think there is either.
I think it's because of them trying to heal her.
Yeah, or make her go to her avatar.
To transfer to the avatar. I think it's the result of that.
Yeah. She plays the daughter who's adopted by Jake and Natiri.
And we kind of disagree on this a little bit.
Here's the thing. I enjoyed her physical performance. It's just every time she opened her mouth and spoke, I could tell it was a near 80-year-old playing a 16-year-old.
That's fair.
That I couldn't get across. I'm like, I love what you're doing physically, but de-age a little bit. But you enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it. I thought that she was actually the highlight. I thought she was actually the highlight of this movie.
Really, all the Sully kids were.
Yeah, the Sully kids were amazing, but she to me is the bright star that kind of shined out of everything.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed her, and the intrigue going forward is what I'm really excited about from her character, being that she has a very, very intimate connection with Pandora itself. So I can't wait to see what's tapped in with that.
Speaking of, where do you think? Because we touched up on it, I think this is definitely going to be a trilogy. I don't think it's going to reach 4 or 5.
So
especially if it doesn't make as much money as they say it needs to.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Okay. So with this, where do you think they're going to be going? Because I know, according to James Cameron, the entire point of this franchise is to be based on family. So the next bit is going to be focused on the Sully kids. Like it's going to be based on their families for the sequel.
Yeah, I know.
So
Worthington is still going to be in it.
Yes, Zoe Saldana and Worthington are going to still be in the next one, but they're going to play more of the grandfather and grandmother role. And they're going to, and basically from what James Cameron has said is that basically going forward,
they want to return to Earth. I remember they said.
Yeah, I think that's
the plan.
I don't know.
I remember. Hey, I read an article. He has said
correct.
He wants to go back to Earth.
I don't know. They probably will go back to Earth at some point, but I do know that the point of this is to continue a generation of generation. So this next one is going to be, because he said the next one is going to be based off of the kids, and then the next one is going to be the kids, and then that's how it's going to keep on moving forward. Is through that.
I don't think this franchise is worthy of getting a 4, a 5, and a 6. I can't see it. I can definitely see a trilogy. Trilogy's definitely gonna happen. Possibly a 4th if 2 and 3 make enough money. I do not think they're gonna have enough material for a 5 and a 6. I don't.
Normally, I would agree with you on this, but the fact that it's already written and planned out by James Cameron is what makes me disagree. The fact that we only have to look at things like Star Wars and things like that have been and Harry Potter that have long narratives.
Hey, and we all know what's going on with Harry Potter right now.
Yes, but
Star Wars.
Yes, but like the criticism with the sequel trilogy is that they didn't have a plan for the sequels, whereas opposed to Star Wars, he had a plan. After New Hope, he had a plan for a trilogy, and then he had a plan for the prequels.
Right.
So and then for Harry Potter,
they didn't have a plan for a prequel.
They didn't have a plan for a prequel, but they had a plan for 1 through 8.
Yeah.
So the point of that, what I'm trying to make is that the success was in the planning.
Okay.
So the fact that he has a plan for up to 5 when it's released in 2028, supposedly.
Yeah.
That's where I think that they're going to succeed.
I don't know if audiences are going to come out and see it in droves.
And I feel like this movie is going to be the barometer.
Yes.
But the thing is that I think if this makes $1 billion, which I think it will.
Oh, it will.
It will. Basically, I believe 3, 4, and 5 are going to get greenlit. I think they're already technically greenlit.
They are, if they already have release dates.
But I feel like there won't be any like creative differences, reschedulings, or anything. If this does well, they are secured.
Okay. Well, time will tell, Zach. But once again, my friends, That's our episode on
That
Avatar
is.
Way of Water. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we leave us a like, give us a comment. If you want to get personal, don't forget to subscribe, of course, but email us at elpodcastmz@gmail.com. But until next time, my friends,
I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch,
And we are an excellent little podcast.